with my company called Lucrative Careers, Inc. And I'm glad to be here this morning. You should be looking at the screen, Lucrative Careers, Inc. free webinars. I have a couple settings to set here. This is the Job Search 2.0 workshop that we're working on today. So I'm Jack Chapman, and this is Steve Frederick. Together, our business is providing lasting and lucrative career solutions for people. Today's webinar is, excuse that typo in the middle there, at 9 o'clock Central Time, Job Search 2.0. But before we dive into Job Search 2.0 itself, let me give you a little context for the workshops that we have for you and other goodies so that besides profiting from today's workshop, you'll be able to profit from other workshops too. I'm going to say hello to the attendee list this morning. Good morning to Catherine, Dan, Giovanni, Kim, Manish, Marie, Raul, Tyler, and Victor. Welcome to all of you. Why do we give these workshops? Many people have thanked us profusely for the impact we've had on their job and career search through these webinars. And they say, how can you afford to keep doing it? Well, afford is one thing. Our mission is another. One reason why we give these workshops and many others, which I'll talk to you about in a moment, is that that's our mission in life. We love that work. I love helping people get lasting and lucrative career solutions. We also do it because the economy needs it. Everyone needs a boost in this economy. The sooner we can get more people back to work, the sooner we'll be able to dig ourselves out of this recession into some prosperity. And lastly, coaching. If we give away everything we possibly can in a group setting and people want more, they'll call us up for individual coaching, and that's how we do our business. So we have a little problem, though. You be the judge here. Usually when people offer you something free, the old adage, you only get what you pay for, shows up, and we'd like to think that you get more than you pay for here, that it's really the best in class, and we may, with your permission, call you up to check on that it is best in class and see what other needs you might have. So I'm going to start with a poll here, and ask you, which of these things do you experience? To give you a context for other webinars that we have for you, I want to get a little baseline here. Which are you experiencing? Do you get different people telling you different things about your resume? Add this, make it 2 pages, don't make it 2 pages, have a career summary, don't have a career summary, and yet no matter how you change it, it still does not get you as much feedback and interest as you would like. Do you experience yourself on the computer using a lot of time but not actually ending up with new connections? The third one, do you feel like you have this need to be more organized, need more time? It's too much to do, too little time. Concern about being visible on LinkedIn. Concerned about whether people can find you if they're looking there. And lastly, who feels like salary is screening them out of an interview, that they otherwise could have a good interview, but salary doesn't even let them get past the gates. All right, so let's see what we have. 44% of you have voted. We need a little bit more votes here, please. Good morning to all of you. And we're on the poll. 2/3 of you have voted, so let's see what we have here. Everyone feels like they have conflicting resume advice. Most people feel like the computer is not giving them enough personal connections with people. 1/3 to a half found need to be organized, and salary could be screening you out. So we have in those arenas, since everyone has needs in those arenas, we have a workshop in each of those arenas. We call these workshops our 4-pillar workshops because they have to do with things that are the real foundation of a job search, the thing that holds up the rest of the job search, just like a pillar holds up the ceilings. So the first workshop you want to pay attention to is called Don't Send That Resume. Let me move back one here. It's called Don't Send That Resume, and if your resume is not getting the kind of reaction and response that you would like, perhaps it's because you're using it when you should be using some of the other creative ways to present yourself. We have 6 or 7 different ways in the Don't Send That Resume workshop. Then, use of the internet. You'll learn that today. Job Search 2.0, that's showing you how you can use your time with the internet, and there will be a unique taxonomy in it about how to spend your time in increasing levels of creativity and activity and proactivity. We have a workshop on time management. That's time is the currency of a job search. Anytime you waste, you never get back. You can make money back, but you can't make time back. So this helps you do that. It's speed search, time, and priorities. And then salary negotiations. I'm the author of Negotiating Your Salary, How to Make $1,000 a Minute. That's my favorite workshop because it always puts money in people's pockets. These 4 are the pillars of a job search. And then in addition, we have special workshops of the month. Things about getting in the side door, guided imageries, streetwise guided job interviewing, all different kinds of ones. And later on today in the workshop, Bronstein's got a new one we're putting up about well, I'll tell it to you when we get there, about getting hired through mass mailings. So we have those, and then we also have a special session just for individuals who feel like they may not be on the right track in their career or their job search. You can see this train looks like it's headed to the station, but when you look carefully, you realize, oops, that train is going to crash. Why? It's got one set of wheels going on the northbound tracks and the other set of wheels going on the southbound tracks. From inside the train, everything seems fine, but from outside the train, you can see it can turn into a train wreck. We don't want you to have your job search campaign to be a train wreck. You may feel like it's going down the right track, but unless you get an outside opinion, sometimes you can end up crashed. So we have a career action plan meeting. An individual meeting takes a couple hours, and we figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what's missing, and sometimes that's all people need to really get on the right track. Here's some examples of how people sometimes get trapped. I had someone come in who says, Jack, I got to revise my resume. I'm just not getting the interviews from the resume that I need. It only took a little while to figure out resume was not the problem. He could work on it day or night. That would not change what his results one iota because he was putting his salary in places that he shouldn't have put it, and he's being screened out for salary. Once we fixed that, got more interviews, got hired. Had someone come in who says, I have to do better in job interviews. I'm getting to the first, getting to the second interview, but I'm never chosen. I'm always the bridesmaid, not the bride. And we took a look, and we, sad to say, said, listen, you have great skills, but you're too old. In the normal economy, you have to be hired, but in this economy, the jobs are going to go to the younger kids, more techno-savvy, et cetera. So your wisdom, however, really makes a lot of sense. Here's how you put yourself in business for yourself as an independent consultant. Instead of looking for one employer, you look for a lot of employers, that is, people to do consulting with. He was in the arena of electricity and power for universities and small towns, and we helped him become an expert in that and build a practice across the country. I'll skip this third one. Suffice it to say that there's a lot of things that you can be working on, and you can be working on the wrong thing and feel like you're working on the right thing. So that's what a career action planning is all about. If you're interested in that, talk to us, or when we call you up to see how this workshop works for you, tell us that you'd be interested. So how do you get the most out of today and out of all our webinars? Well, if you haven't yet, you'll soon be receiving our 1-minute career letter. Just keep that in your inbox and look at it when you want to. It'll link you directly to our website and tell you what workshops are going on at that particular time. Here's how you can get the most value for yourself. We ask you to participate fully, read our monthly newsletter. If you belong to a group, tell people about us and take our call with feedback. Let me see if that is an okay deal. That's what we ask in return. Could you tell me, just pick one of those that fits you, and when I get a few votes in here to make sure that we're still in communication, we'll move on to the workshop. You should be looking at let me get the questions box open and tell you about that logistics. You should be viewing a poll and taking that poll. While you're doing that, I'm going to say quick note. That's right, thanks. A quick note about a typo. Yes, Marie, that was a typo. That one changes each time, and I forgot to double check it. Thank you very much for telling me. All right, so with 70% of the vote in, it looks like everyone is okay. A couple of you took the oops, I was getting coffee. All right, that's good. We're in good shape. So I have to move and get the next workshop up here. And bear with me here while I get the right slides and put them into this. And all right, I have a little housekeeping to do to find it. 2.0. Hold on, I'm just it eluded me today. Let me see what this is. I'm going to job search 2.0. I think we've been through this. Apologize for taking so long. I had this. There we go. Had it all set up to go, and I think we're now ready. So we're ready to dive in. Let's just remind you that over on the right-hand side in your control panel, you have a place for questions. That's a way that you and I can be interactive in this workshop. And if you would like to ask a question or make a comment, type it in there. As I notice it's there, I'll try and respond to it. So this is Job Search 2.0. And I'm going to show you Job Search 1.0 and contrast it with what we say we're likely to do here. The promise of the Internet way back in the early 90s when the Internet came online and the newspapers slowly lost their help wanted sections, the promise was that this electronic media would give you access to thousands more jobs where you used to just have only a few. They'd be automatically screened, filtered, an instant application, interview scheduled, maybe even you could be interviewed from your home using Skype or some media like that. Social media would get you LinkedIn and have easy access to insider information from companies, from their websites and their blogs. It just seemed like it would be open source. Everyone would get to the job a lot faster. And the reality, though, is this. The reality is that there's so much activity on the Internet, it feels like a black hole. It can suck your time and energy away from you. You never know what hits you. There's thousands of jobs. Sure, there's a lot more jobs in the world, but there's tens of thousands of applicants. It's so easy. There's no privacy. It's an issue later on when we talk about being on LinkedIn or not, whether your boss knows or not. People used to worry about that, but now they just are abandoning that concern about privacy and putting all their information up. So huge mountains of tasks, research, applications, blog, reviews, networking, amid hours and hours of email. There's a trap that can happen in Job Search 1.0, is that you spend a lot of time sending in applications, et cetera, a lot of activity, but not really productivity. So one recommendation I have is at lucrativecareersinc.com. One of the webinars was called Speed Search, How to Use Your Time Effectively. If you haven't taken that, I strongly recommend it. But today's focus is on what do we do to take advantage of the Internet that doesn't suck all our time and leave us sitting by the roadside. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for waiting there. I was doing a little technological piece. So nowhere else on earth are you going to find this. I just have to tell you that, when we talk about it being webinars that we think are unique or best in class, I don't think you'll find any place that really has the following deliverables. In Job Search 2.0, we're going to show you, if we're going to focus not just on the published market and applications like other courses might do, Lucrative Careers, Inc. covers both the published and the unpublished markets. I want to tell you, we also encourage, show you how to get face-to-face connections with people. And really, even though this is Job Search 2.0, we should be advocating and boosting your use of the internet. Rather, what we're going to do is to see if we can slow down and limit the computer time, because one thing that hasn't changed is, for the most part, you will need to see somebody face-to-face in a real live job interview to be hired. Lucrative Careers Inc. gives you 6 levels of increasing value use of the internet. You'll find in other courses everything is a lot of stuff to do, but there's no real priority. What's the highest thing to do? So we'll be checking in on these deliverables at the end of our workshop to make sure that I've given you everything that you need there. Just a caution, though, if you're expecting today's Job Search 2.0, the electronic job search, to cover the biggest player in that field, LinkedIn, you won't find it. You will find that, however, in other workshops we give. We give a workshop on the basics that's coming up, and a workshop, the LinkedIn Master Class. Today we'll have moderate information about Facebook and Twitter, but really not a lot. So having said that context, we want to set the next context of the hidden job market. I'm going to do a poll on this one. Think for a moment. Most of you have heard about that there's a hidden job market or an unpublished job market or an informal job market. And most of us think of that as being a fact of life in the job search, but I don't know if you know the underpinnings of it. So think for a moment. I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question, or actually a real question, and have you type into the question box your answers or comments on this. It says, this may sound a bit ahead of a time. Manish says, do you cover non-American markets as well? This morning, Manish, we will cover the Job Search 2.0 techniques for using the internet, from proactive to reactive to those 6 levels. It won't specifically be on international search, though. All right, back to the slide here. Why would an employer hide a job? Now think about it. If they're looking to hire somebody, why wouldn't they tell everyone they know, post it on the website, post it to LinkedIn, Facebook, etc.? Please tell me what she's got there. So Giovanni says they have somebody they know already in mind. All right, that's one reason, is that they don't put it out there because they already know kind of who they're hiring, and they don't, even though they have an opening, they don't want to have people lined up out the door that they have to say no to. All right. Other reasons. What are other reasons why there would be this hidden job market? Why would an employer hide a job? And Manish says they want the best and they not to be off with all kinds of applicants. That's true. It's another reason they may not publish an opening, is that the better quality candidates come from word of mouth, from people who are recommended by people. So sometimes they'll keep it quiet for there. Victor says they don't want to have to process all the applications. Yes, that is true, Victor, but they have software now that does that. There's software that just searches for keywords. It's called Bing, and there's another one. I forget them. There's 2 or 3. And Brass Ring is another. And so they can search it through it that way. They're looking for the best candidates. It still makes sense to let people know. Misty says they might not have the manpower to handle all the responses they're going to get. That's true. So, but if they're really looking for talent, that's what they got to do to find it. Why would they keep the job hidden? They really should be able to put those into their computer and their voice, then their word recognition software, keyword software. Marie says maybe they don't even know they need you. Ah, that's the one. That's the one I was waiting for, Marie. Most people don't get that one. So we're going to come back to that. Congratulations. That's the key reason. And AJ says, welcome, AJ. You've been on some of these workshops before. I appreciate your devotion here. And Marie says, woo-hoo, she wins. So AJ says they don't want to let internal organization know what's going on. That's another reason, right? You might have somebody in that job you're trying to replace. I worked with an accountant once who got a bill from the Tribune for a help wanted ad. He called them up and he said, we didn't place this ad. And they said, oh, yes, you did. And he looked at it and it was an ad for his job. So sometimes, and that's embarrassing, so sometimes you don't want that to happen. But so AJ, that's right. Victor says they don't have good criteria. Okay, and Paul says competitors. Yes, when you put an ad in the paper, think if you're somebody who is working for a consulting firm and you deliver a certain package and you hire this consulting firm to work with you, and then you notice an ad the next day that the consulting firm is looking for somebody, and you think, wow, am I going to get a rookie? Are they expanding? It just can tip the company's hand about what's going on and be embarrassing to their clients. So those are all reasons why they do it. And let me just put them down here. And here's the ones that people usually give. And the ad gets too many responses. It discloses personnel change information. It gets less qualified people. Ad trumps internal posting. But here's the biggest reason. The biggest reason is there's no ad or posting for a job because there's no job yet. It is incubating. As Marie put it, I think it was Marie, as Marie put it, they don't know they need you yet. Those are called created jobs. So here's what I'm doing, just to give you an overview. I'm building a context for the Job Search 2.0. If you don't know the difference between a published opening and an unpublished opening, and if you don't know why an employer keeps the unpublished openings to themselves, why they don't advertise and put applications and blast out on the internet, this will give you the reason. Once you understand that reason, then the 6 different approaches to the job market will make sense for you. So think for a moment. Every company, every day, hiring decision makers, that's what HDM stands for there, hiring decision makers can always use more help all the time. They may not be requisitioning help, they may not have an ad, but have you ever been in when was the last time you were in a company that they felt like, all right, we're not lean, we're not mean, we just get all the people we need, sit back, relax, have a good time, we don't want to work you to death. Well, they do want to work you to death nowadays, but they always need help all the time. Every company, every day, hiring decision making has duds, people that they feel like are not really performing what they want, but they can't replace them they don't have the time and energy to go out through a whole campaign and send out newsletters and ads and sign up recruiters and talk to people. It's just too much work, so they live with it. It's kind of like a stone in their shoe. You just live with it for a while because that's how it is. Every company, every day, hiring decision makers have superstars, which one day they know they're going to leave them and they got to be replaced. So they're always looking for good talent. Always, always, always looking for good talent. And if you take the life cycle then from hiring decision makers that are looking for talent, if you take the life cycle, it starts way back with someday maybe I'm going to get some help. And it begins to progress here to someday soon I'm going to get some help. And then it's like, oh my God, I need help now. And then finally I'm over my head. I got to call a recruiter. I have to put an ad in the paper. I'm drowning. If you, this period here from someday maybe all the way up through help I'm drowning is called the incubation period. And networking, we'll show you how to use the computer today in Job Search 2.0. We'll show you how to use the computer to help your networking, not replace your networking. Networking is the art of connecting with these hiring decision makers before they get desperate, because the hiring decision maker knows, sometimes you can think of this in terms of a pipeline. Hiring decision maker knows that this talented person is going to leave, and he just likes to have people kind of waiting in the wings, and it's worth it for him to meet or talk to you just to see if you might be the right person to be in the pipeline. So in the pipeline, or sometimes in their needs, but they don't even know they need you, there it is. Let's just take a look then at how this, and we can do our own survey here too. Using the internet only for published jobs misses 2/3 of all the jobs that are out there. And there's a study done by Mark Granovetter in Harvard for his Harvard PhD where he figured out how many people get their jobs through ads, how many people get their jobs through agency, how many people get their jobs through unions and things like that, and how many get them in the informal way, getting out doing networking, seeking to make contacts with employers. let's see what we have here. We have only 13 people with us this morning, but 13 people might be enough to still validate what is pardon me. Okay, I'm back. To validate these statistics. Now, 13 is not big enough to really be a statistically significant sample, but it could be close. So let's see what we have. 75% of you have voted. 83% voted. And let's see what we got here. Okay. So we're pretty close, The word of mouth / networking, that is 2/3. We got to a little over half. Recruiter employment agency is a little bigger than the 10%, and the advertising is if you put agencies and advertising together. So even on our poll today, with just 13 people on the line, the poll results are substantiated and validated. So here's what it looks like visually. If you focus only on the published job market, you have this little job, like that fish swimming in the pond. You have a little job. You have all 100% of the job hunters going after that one poor little fish. If you're smart and savvy and use some of the techniques we're going to teach you today to get the more proactive job search, you'll be able to spend more of your time in the unpublished market. In the unpublished market, you got 66 or 2/3 of the job, and only 5%. This one little job hunter up here, only 5% are using are going after that. So that's our context. Victor says, "Is that for the U.S. market?" Yes, I think it is also true for other markets, but I wouldn't know, Victor. Here's where you want to be. You don't want to ignore this published openings over here, but you want to put your attention over here. This is where the better jobs is, and this is where more of the jobs are. Along those lines, then, here's what we're going to cover today. The published market, levels 1 and 2 of using the internet. The word of mouth market, which is a little bit kind of like the published market and kind of like the created market. And then lastly, we'll go over the created positions. Published market is answering ads, postings, making recruiters and companies aware by sending out information about you. Levels 3 and 4 are a little bit more proactive. You step up and you make the contacts, making recruiters, hiring decision makers know who you are through standard visibility programs and using other high-level visibility programs. The third level, the third category here, levels 5 and 6, is the advanced job search, where you take the initiative to meet hiring decision makers in person, and one of them and get one to make a position for you. We'll give you examples of all these. Thanks. Still showing polls. Thank you very much. There we go. I appreciate that, AJ and Raul. Can you see the taxonomy here? This is what we're going to do today, published market. And if we look at these and build them slowly, it looks like this. The 6 levels of use of the internet that we're going to work on today starts with level 1, the passive job search, where you focus on job boards, applications. I have a note here from internet applications, how to avoid questions that force you to answer salary requirements. Harvard doesn't let you bypass that question. Giovanna, make sure that 2 things. If you haven't yet, you should take the No Dollar Left Behind webinar that we have. Go to when you get our newsletter, that will point you to the website at Lucrative Careers Inc. and do that. And see if we have time to discuss that later on. That's a salary negotiations question, and I want to make sure that we answer your need about how to get past that screening out. But we need to focus today on these levels of activity overall. So thanks for your question. If we have time at the end, we'll see if I can get to it. So Passive job search 1.0 is just levels 1, passive reactive, sending things out, broadcasting your resume. A little higher than that, the more active job search uses hiring decision makers plug and play visibility things like LinkedIn. You get out and visit companies, networking, consultations, meeting with people inside. By the way, it looks like there's a lot of typos in here. Those aren't typos. Those are just abbreviations so they could fit into the little box I had for them. So here they are, levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, starting with job boards, they're very passive, and ending up with job proposal, the most active, and all the places in between. We're going to cover those today. You're welcome, Johnny. First one, where the orange is, we're going to cover that first, job boards. When we think of doing a job search, and I asked you how come they aren't posted, and we came up with those reasons, we realized then that the better jobs, and most of the jobs, are never advertised or listed with agencies. But that doesn't mean don't apply. Sometimes clients come in and they say, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to contact HR or things like that. And I'm like, that's not true. We just want you to apportion your time according to how valuable a certain level is. So this is not, I repeat, it's not don't answer ads. It's applied to the answers, but only applied to jobs if the fit is 95% or better. The number of resumes people get, the kind of screening they have to do, if you don't actually fit the criteria well enough, you're better to use your time in one of the higher level search activities rather than continue to bang your head against the electronic wall by sending out resumes and that don't fit well enough. So where do you find these? I'm going to do a little machinations here and see if we can get this up here. So where do you find jobs? Jobs in the published openings. The biggest source of that is the International Association of Employment websites. So you should be looking at my screen here, and my screen, to minimize the questions, and so you take a look at all the different jobs they have. Every one of these after college, agricultural careers, AIRS, human capital solutions, these are all places that you can find published openings and openings that fit to your specifications. Let's go to page 9. We go to page 9 and we're still only on the H's and in terms of this, in terms of the Indeed.com, automotivejobs.com, insurancesalesjobs.com, etc. Let's go all the way to the last. The last is, there we go, 22. 22 pages with 50 or so job boards on each one of the pages. That's what, thousands of job boards. So you can't sign up for all of them, but you do want to go through the ones that you can and look for those. Another place to look for jobs that are posted, vacancies, openings that people are advertising for, is to go to the association list. Now, these slides will be sent to you, by the way, or a URL to access the slides will be sent to you after today's meeting. So if you're madly trying to take notes to keep up, you won't need to do that. We will send it. It takes about an hour or so for it to send up, and then let's go to meeting. We'll send it to all the participants. So, accounting, finance, agriculture, astronomy, banking, business, college alumni, computer hardware, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are all associations. Associations have information about job openings in two respects. They have it in the respect of I'm trying to do two things at once here to move out of this back to my PowerPoint source. Okay. Trying to get the window. There we go. Okay, so thanks for your patience there. It takes me a little while to move from screen to screen if I have to shift software. So those two places are places to look for job boards, and as I say, we will send you the slides sometime after this workshop, so you won't have to worry about madly taking notes. You'll be able to look at those slides to get those URLs back again. So here's the job boards. There's other places for the looking for vacancies and openings too that work. The Simply Hired and Indeed.com, those are search engines that will take your criteria and go out on the web and look through all those, for instance, those thousands of job boards that we just looked at a moment ago. They'll get a robot to do that and give you if it finds your criteria and your keywords, it'll tell you about those. So there's competition for that is fierce. So again, if you're not really a slam dunk, you're not going to do well. And it says on the bottom right here, it says Monster Eval. That stands for, if you go to monster.com and there's a function, I think it costs a little money, but there's a function there that you can ask them to evaluate your application versus others. In other words, they take stock of what comes in and they can kind of tell you compared to other people how competitive you are. I've heard about that. I realize as I talk about it today that I have not actually done it with a client, so I don't know how valuable it is. If somebody does use that, please let me know so I can upgrade this. Another passive thing you need to do on your job search is do the online research about you. Google your name, look through other things like this, all these kind of social media, and make sure there's no digital dirt out there for you. If you find some, you want to get rid of it, and you're worried about, and you're trying to figure out who owns the site, go to www.whois.com, and that'll list the ownership of any of the sites. Reputation.com and others will actually do monitoring for you, but they cost money. So you can see all the different social medias there are, and there could be pictures of you that are embarrassing or things that you don't want other people to see. And that's number one. So let me open the questions here. Any questions on passive/active job search levels 1 and 2, the job boards, recruiters, etc.? Type your questions in the question box if you have any. Okay, let's go on to the next. Level 2, recruiters and mailings. Remember I said that there was going to be a new workshop coming up. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. So another way to look for work is to get visible with recruiters. There's a service called bluesteps.com that has a lot of the retained search in it. And I was questioning, is it really worth? It costs a couple $100 if you want to sign up with them. And I'm wondering, is that worth it? Well, my initial thought was that no, it's not worth it, because it just didn't seem like it would get you the place you needed to go. But when I looked at the roster list, the people that are there on Blue Steps, there's Korn Ferry and Egon Zender and Robert Half and some others. Other big retained Heidrick and Struggles. All the big names are on there. So if you are executive level work and executive level talent, and you want to apply, I think, and you have a couple $100, I think it's worth putting your John Hancock right in there and filling out the application. The thing about it then is that once your profile is done, you don't have to change it 100 times. When you change one thing about it, just change once, and then all those high-level recruiting organizations will be able to find you. Just a note on recruiters, too. Recruiters get paid roughly 1/3 of a year's salary to find somebody. So when an employer invests that kind of money with a recruiter, it is to really get some special results. So recruiters are looking for eagles, and if you are not an eagle, eagles sometimes swans, but really they're looking for eagles. And if you're a goose, a duck, or God forbid a turkey, you're not going to get very far with the recruiters. So this tactic won't work well for you. This whole level won't work well for you. But if you do feel like you're in the top 15% of your field, top 15–20% of your field, and you have really good marketable talents and skills and background and education, you can send your information out to recruiters and do it this way. There are some services that offer you the ability to have them figure out the right places to send it to, and they send out your resume. Then this is still kind of passive. It is active in that you're reaching out, but it's passive in that you're still focused on vacancies and openings and things that a recruiter would handle. So Resume Rabbit is that one. Bob Bronstein has been doing this for years and years and years. He does it at home. He's a private practitioner. We expect in the next couple of months to have a new webinar from Bob, and his take to me is that the mass mailing of resumes doesn't work tremendous. It's not like it works 80–90% of the time. It works only a small percentage of the time. But when it works, it's like way worth it because it's very little hassle, high yield, and good positions if they're handled that way. So I will keep tuned for that. We'll make sure you're informed when we have that webinar. There's other sites for recruiters and mailings, the pay-to-play, the Ladders, NetShare, and ExecuNet. They're all focused to deliver services for job hunters. And some of them say that they have exclusive listings you won't find anyplace else. And I don't quite trust that, even if they start out proprietary. The internet just has a way, like, fun, like, what's the name of that? I can't remember the name of the people that stole all the music. Anyway, it's very hard to keep things proprietary on the internet. So the cost to entry here is pretty small. I think it's $30–40, something like that, for a month. So if you're getting good coaching out of it, that's good. If not, Kim, Napster, right? That's the one I was thinking. So Napster's an example of you get a song, you just can't control where it goes nowadays, even copyright or no copyright. Victor says, how to figure out whether you're on the top. If you can get a recruiter to talk to you, they'll give you an evaluation of that kind of thing. And you also know, actually, Victor, when we get to levels 4 and 5 today, those are some ways that you can get your visibility, and hopefully that will answer your question when we get there. So watch that. All right, a little bit more active level. Level 3, working with the hiring decision makers using plug and play, visible, LinkedIn, visit target companies, networking consulting. So let me tell you what that means. There's a lot of ways to make yourself visible, and if you're just answering ads and posting resumes, it's not visible enough. What you want to use is the programs, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Now, of those, when you're looking for professional employment, are they all equal? No, in my opinion, if somebody is serious about looking for somebody and they're using the media to find somebody, they'll concentrate less on the Twitter and Facebook social media and more on LinkedIn. The way I say it is that if they're serious, they're going to find you on LinkedIn. No need to spend lots of time on social media or tweeting, etc. Even though I've had people come in, and I had one person who came in. She was an association director. One day she was out. She found some connection she made through Twitter. They told her about some needs, and she was hired the next day. It's incredible. When it goes fast, it goes fast. But I think that it doesn't typically go that fast. So you want to set up your visibility, and LinkedIn is the clear winner of that. The basic, intermediate, and advanced courses we have for you will help you on this. The basic, we don't have a course on that. The intermediate, 5 key selections and pointers, or actually maybe it might be called the basics. I got trouble here, don't I? I have a basic in black and a basic in orange. Well, elementary, basics, and advanced. Elementary, we presume you know. Basics, there's a LinkedIn basics class coming up. I teach that. And then my colleague Steve will teach the advanced ways to handle all these things. Name, title, status, box, basic information. That's in the basics. And here's the things that are in the advanced. So we won't go into detail. I used to spend about a half an hour in this program on that, but LinkedIn has become such a backbone of hiring and networking and finding talent and a tool for recruiters, et cetera. It's become so much of that. It's gone public that really that is the game to play in the active search level 3. If what you want to do is just be active, get your name out there, get yourself visible, and show people what you have, that's how to do it. LinkedIn, and learn the LinkedIn. Oh, there's so many. There's just so many facets of that. Do not miss the training on that, because just again, if doing the passive, we talk about active passive again. If you're going to LinkedIn and you figure, well, what I'll do is I'll just put up my profile, I'll cut and paste my resume into the experience box, and hopefully someone will knock on my door and call me up and hire me for a job. Okay, well, now you're back into the same passive mode that we were talking about. It's not a bad mode, but the best results come from more active modes. So next level is level 4. Level 4 is people telling you this is happening, that's happening, talk to so-and-so, and getting out and talking to hiring decision makers. Talking about hiring decision makers in a way that gets them to remember you and keep you in their pipeline. The goal is to build your visibility and credibility in your field. And the way you do that is you comment on blog postings. If there's no blog for your arena, you start a blog. You join associations, take a leadership role in the organization. Sometimes you can become a referral hub. I was working with a client who wanted to open up a car store. He had run several different car stores, run a Buick and run a Toyota and run those things. And he had become an expert in making the back service department run well, the front sales department run well, the advertising. He just knew how to do it. I'm talking about on the slide you're looking at where it says become a referral hub. He knew lots and lots and lots of people in the industry, so he kind of began setting himself up with people that owned car stores. That's what they call them stores. He worked with them to let them know if they ever needed any talent, if they needed someone from in their service department, they needed a better salesperson, et cetera, that my client, we'll call him Jim, that Jim said that he knew a lot of people, he'd be glad to help them out. So he became a referral hub. Job seekers began talking to him, and employers that owned car stores and needed some help, or were thinking of owning one that needed some help, they would have to talk to him too. So he became a hub for all of those. In that process, he just built his visibility and credibility, so when the right person called up with the right money that wanted to open a new store, he was there, and his reputation preceded him. He kind of got hired in with some equity. In your field, you want to find the experts and become a mastermind team with them, what's going on, keep yourself up to date, meet once a month by phone or in person. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Carnegie, those people had a famous mastermind team. And if you want to be rich like them, you would do the same. They all helped each other think bigger. Internet communication, the long-term payoff. Getting your visibility and credibility here is not just something you do just while you're in job search, but you do it as a strategy in your whole job and career. There's a long-term payoff in this. Let's see how people are doing here. Let's take this little poll saying, how many people, how visible are you in your field? If someone were looking for an accountant, or looking for an actuary, looking for a purchasing agent, looking for a salesperson, looking for a medical technologist, etc., how many, if they asked around, would quickly find you and who you are? Now, the way you get found is you take a leadership role in your organization, and that way you can do it. All right, half of you have voted. Take just a moment here for the rest of the half of you to vote. See what we've got. All right, with 3/4 of the vote in, let's share. This is a pretty good too. You almost 1/5 of you, 16 to 20 people know your good work. That is great. That's what you want to build on. You're building your reputation, and I'm going to talk about reputation versus branding in just a moment here. The 20% of you who only 5 or fewer people know your good work, that's going to cost you a lot in job search, cost you way a lot. So you want to be able to be in the middle and have people know what you're going to. And I call that building your reputation. Now, some people call it branding, and branding is kind of a concept that people are using in the job search. So that if you're a certain kind of a engineer and you're really good at it, that becomes your brand. This is the thing that you want to do. It's what you're known for. And like for instance, in job and career coaching, my brand is the salary negotiations. I wrote the book. I coached 2,000 or more people. Anyone who's interested in making more money in their negotiations, they call me up and I coach them, and that's kind of my brand. But what I like to think of it more, though, is my reputation. If you just think of a brand is a big challenge, because in a brand, you're trying to find out what's unique about you, different from everyone else in the job search. That gets to be, that's an awfully big bar to, what do they call it, raise to reach. Marie has a couple of questions here saying, my problem is that I'm staying in sales, but I'm trying to change industry from IT to healthcare. Lots of people know me in IT sales, getting people that, yes. So getting a visibility position, Marie, in the associations of the new place that you want to go to is going to be critical for you, because that's where, if you build your reputation, then by word of mouth, your name gets to the people that need or want to hire you. So it says, yep, doing all that, good, and keep it up, Marie, you're doing the right things. Big challenge to become one and only, and if you focus just on that one and only thing that you do, it limits people's perceptions and connotes advertising hype. When you think of branding, a little bit you think of, well, it's not really the quality, it's just kind of the label you slap on it that counts. So think, for instance, of the difference between Timex and Rolex. In terms of its function, telling time, they're almost, as a matter of fact, I would go venture to say they are identical. They keep time well. The Rolex is just more expensive because of branding hype. You know, if you're rich, that's the watch you wear. It's very self-centered and exclusive. Building a reputation, however, is much more feasible to be in the top 15%. It really expands people's perception about you and your capabilities. It doesn't have to zero in on that one thing. It makes you different from everyone else. Connotes substance, not hype, and it's contribution-centered and inclusive. So that's the word that you want to focus on. You want to focus on building your visibility and credibility / reputation in the field. All right? We should be looking at the 6 degrees of active and passive again. We're down at number 5. We got 2 to go, 5 and 6. So far from being passive up here, you're now down here doubly active, not just active, proactive, but doubly active, building creative positions. Here's what's necessary for doing that. You might want some coaching for doing that, because it's a pretty high-level job search. When you get to level 5, instead of you waiting to be connected to somebody who has some needs, you proactively go out and find the people that you want to build your reputation with and make a specific campaign to go meet them, just on an exploratory basis, not imposing on them to hire you right now, but to hire you, but to have you in mind for the future, or have you in mind in case they meet someone who needs someone like you. For that, let me ask you, how many of you, I'm not going to do a poll on this, but how many of you are conducting your search this way? You have a target list of people. That means you have 25 to 50 people, names and titles. Sometimes you don't have all the contact information, but you know these are the people that could hire you or know people who could hire you, and you target that. You have a target list of companies that may intersect with the target list of people. They may have an intersection there. Some of those are the same, but that's okay. Then you need an approach that sets you apart from the standard issue job hunters. The approach needs to be able to get the person to want to meet with you and establish the approach you use has got to establish that it's not all give and that you're expecting from them. It's not all take on your part, but that you realize that networking is a two-way street and that you may not be able to pay the favor back today, but you'd be glad to pay it back for them or someone they know. Often you think, well, how can I repay the favor to this, head of a bank? Well, you don't repay the favor to him directly, but you can repay the favor to him for someone you know. Use a referral chain. Don't just call people up and barge in. You need to set it up, have people know that you're calling, what you're going to be calling about. So we have a letter of approach that we suggest people send out, and develop your reputation versus your brand. So that's that's using the internet to get out and connect with people. Not the standard plug and play, but the real kind of doing it on your own venture, building your own visibility and credibility. There's one level left, we call it in charge. You're so active that you've got your reputation at 15%, you make connections to hiring decision makers, you figure out how to save them some money, and then make a proposal demonstrating what you can do. Here's some examples. In the banking industry, the bank regulator works for the government and comes in and audits things to make sure that all these mistakes, all these companies, the Enrons, the Tycos, the Bernie Madoffs, etc., they get caught before they get too far into their scheme. On the client side, on the banking side, the correlative of the bank regulator is the compliance person. They have it set up so that when the bank regulator comes in, everything is hunky-dory and there's no problems. So the client I was working with was a regulator, but he realized that he'd rather be on the compliance section in the private sector. And it was getting no luck just sending his resume out or calling or talking to people. So he did some research and talked to enough people till he found someone where there was a bank being set up. He got to the principals of that bank and said, let me just see if I can help you out here. When you open up, here's some things that you want to attend to. You can attend to them. If you don't attend to them when you start up, you'll have a lot of backpedaling and difficulties down the line to catch up to where you should be. If you get it, even though it looks to start with like it's overkill and more than you need, more hardware and ammunition that you need, still, trust me, if you get these things handled now, later on you'll thank yourself. And if you'd like, I'd get you a little proposal of what it would look like, for you to do that. So he did. He talked to them, gave them a proposal, and within 4 months when they were opening their doors, they called him in to be the compliance person. That's an example of the most active job search method, a job proposal. You propose somebody to get a job. Safety and security. I'm running out of time. Let me do this. Let me do the COO president. It's a more interesting story. So here's another example of a very proactive search. It's a search where you're writing really a proposal. I had a client who was working in a certain kind of construction company manufacturing company that made parts for the construction industry. And he was doing his research on the internet and Googling and figuring out what's going on, and found a company where the president was going to retire in 6 months. And he did a little snooping around, and it looked to him like the president was going to go, but that the CFO was going to move up to the president's spot. And when he did that, there would be an opening for a CFO. So my client decided, why doesn't he make friends with or at least introduce himself to the current president and or CEO, and talk to them about their business and what's going on, and have some thoughts about if he were put in place, what he might have that other people don't. So he used some informal networking things, found a connection to someone who knew someone, arranged some interviews, and interviewed not only with the president, but the president said, "You ought to meet my CFO," and they all talked. And he discovered some problems with accounting in some of the far-flung distribution centers they had. And so my client worked on those a little bit, came back and said, you know, I noticed when we talked you had this kind of difficulty. Here's some resources, here's some enterprise-sized software that you might have some interest in using. If you wanted my help in doing it, I'd be glad on a consulting basis or employee to help you. But here you are, it's a proposal. Well, they liked what they saw, brought him in to handle that. They liked what they saw in terms of his work. And when the president retired, the CFO moved up, and my client moved into the CFO spot. So I hope that wasn't too complicated of a story. This is me and my partner, Steve. We're here to help you if you find this to be too difficult to do on your own. So 6 degrees of active, passive. Let's see if, okay, Manish, I do that regularly, great. Victor says it's hard to make a proposal. People don't answer emails, calls. Yes, that's, let me take that up here. We're just about out of time, but let me do this. This is a good question. Victor says, it's hard to make a proposal because people don't answer emails, they don't answer their calls. It's just very hard. There are so many ways that we can communicate with each other nowadays that we're just flooded with communications. And therefore, many of them go by the wayside. So that's the purpose, Victor, then, of being visible and credible in your field so that you can find people who know people who know people. And if you do it well, do it correctly, you can go from the person you know to meet the person you don't know to meet the person you want to meet. It's something we coach our clients to do all the time. So here's just a little summary. Here's what you want to do. You want to start with the basic level, locate all the relevant job boards, associations, etc. Register on the biggies. Set up your Google alerts for when your name is typed out there or certain keywords, and then apply. But apply only where the fit is 95% or better. All right, that's step 1. Step 2, make sure your LinkedIn is really functioning. I won't go further into it on this recording because we now have separate freestanding workshops on LinkedIn Basics and LinkedIn Advanced. The Job Search 2.0 is coming in about an hour, the URL to this presentation. If you want to get it right away, you can go to http://tinyurl.com/LCI-jobsearch2-0. You're welcome to do that. If you want work on your LinkedIn site or something like that, or a private session, be sure to call us up. We'd be glad to help you with that. And let's just see if we have done what we had suggested that we were going to do. I just have to double check one thing here. Yes, okay. So, did we cover both the published and unpublished market? Yes, we did. I can why don't I ask you, these are the things that we said that we were going to do. Let me ask you, did we cover both the published and unpublished market? Did we encourage face-to-face, show you how to get in touch with people and build your visibility and build your reputation, et cetera, and not just spend computer time? Did we give you a taxonomy of the job market with LCI, 6 different levels of increasing value, and did we give you overview and links? Let's see what we got here. Thank you very much. Looks like 100% of you said thanks. My search will be measurably impacted by this. We appreciate that. Now let's see if I can move off of this. Okay, move. One final thought with you. Hold on while I get it here. Final thought. All right. Okay, you should be looking at the screen with Nowhere Else on Earth, because I have one little quote for you, and if there's nothing, if I'm missing on that, let me know. You can hear me, and you should be looking at Nowhere Else on Earth. We did all that. Now we'll go to one more. Here's an encouragement. I just want you to know that it's tough. I've been doing this work since 1979, so it's what, 79, 89, 99, 2000. It's 30-some years I've been doing this work, and this is, of all the recessions we've had, this is the toughest, the most pervasive, the one that's the most difficult to cure, the one that's more global in scope, and it's just discouraging sometimes to have the competition so fierce. But if you work on all 6 levels, concentrating as much time as possible on the higher levels, eventually you will succeed. Persistence is the key to success, and support and training, accountability is the key to making that work. Calvin Coolidge said, "Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence." I have a question from Kim here saying, "You said we will receive the slides. Very good, informative webinar." Yes, you will be receiving the slides. Let's get back to Calvin Coolidge, who says, "Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing's more common than unsuccessful people with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education won't. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." So thank you for joining me on our workshop today, Job Search 2.0. Please refer your friends and relatives and nieces and nephews, uncles, aunts, and coworkers. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. And we appreciate your participation and your voting of this as something that is the best in class. And we will end now. Thank you very much.